and Friday. Dial *266# or download the iOS and Android apps on mega6lotto.com to play. Mega 6 Lotto is approved and regulated by the NLA. Let's begin from player welfare concerns, and it's been a topical discussion in the last 24 hours in Ghana after the demise of Legon City's goalkeeper Sylvester Saki, who was ill and unfortunately lost his life on Tuesday. Illness also to shotstopper William Esu, who is currently crying for support from his club and unpaid bonuses from the GFA after helping Ghana's Olympic team, the Black Meteors, to qualify for the Africa Under-23 Cup of Nations. Well, he wants his money to seek medical care, good medical care. We've tried to read the PFAJ. Hopefully we'll get them later. But Victor Achutamakla has been following this issue closely, and he currently speaks on how player welfare can be made better in the country.
I think it's purely a regulatory matter. It's the job of the club licensing board to ensure that beyond asking these clubs to file their audited account statements, you go beyond the numbers that they have put on paper to ensure that the numbers actually make sense and that they can raise the 400,000 cedis or the 500,000 cedis that we're told these days as the cost of running a full season. Because you cannot tell me that the club licensing board is doing a good job when every year clubs are struggling to pay salaries, when we have stories like what happened to BA United in 2015. Bolga All Stars a few years later could not even fuel their own bus to attend the league match. Look, even last season, the team bus driver of Legon Cities in protest had to leave the team in the lurch, and eventually the team had to continue the rest of the journey with a ride-hailing app to move the players in batches to their destination. It is not possible. It should not happen. I mean, you cannot tell me that there is a club that has passed the club licensing regulations and somehow out of the 10 months that we've got in a season, or is it 8 months, they are only able to pay up to 3 or 4 months of salary to their players. It's impossible. It clearly speaks to a defect in the enforcement of the club licensing regulations. And this continues because the players themselves, I do not believe, have got a sufficient appreciation of what their rights are as far as the regulations are concerned and what even the player status committee can do for them. And so a noise or two on radio and they are okay. But if the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana were to be offering the right kind of education to these players, doing proper activism, we'll see a few more clubs, or should I say a lot more clubs, being docked points for not fulfilling their contractual obligations, because what is currently happening in the league is completely unacceptable.
Well, this is currently completely unacceptable, but we've enjoyed on the lines by Collins Atapoku. Well, things haven't been the most pleasant of things. But Collins, firstly, before we get to the league and what is currently happening, what do you make of the general treatment of local players in Ghana after the issues to the Legon City goalkeepers? Currently, Esu is fighting for his life. What can be done to protect the players?
A concerted effort beyond just rhetorics and saying all sort of things that would let us get votes and get sympathy in the eyes of the public, and then not acting on them. If you quite remember, this regime at the FA promised standardized player contracts. It is something that PFAG has raised with the GFA in countless occasions. On all these occasions that it's been raised, there was assurance that it will be implemented very, very soon. The last meeting between the PFAG and the GFA on this subject ended with ex-players asking why club owners, including the GFA president, are willing to spend unconscionable amounts of money on what they call football operations, but are not willing to pay players who are the active actors in this case the right amount of money for them to work with. So you shouldn't have taken the death of Saki and the predicament of Esu for us to be raising this. My brother, let's be honest to ourselves first and foremost before we even try telling our listeners on 3FM that something is happening. You know what? These players are paid chicken feed as salary, and they could go as much as 4 months when the league is active without salary. And when the league actually goes on break, that one is even terrible, because a lot of these club owners are of the view that these players are not doing anything for them at that point in time, and they don't see why they should be giving them money. So clearly, there is a lot wrong with our system of remuneration for our footballers. If only a few are able to pay, and even these few, you go in some of these established clubs, and one of the clear things is that we have established players who are given very good salary, and there are others who are still taking the 300, 400, 500, 600 cedis every month. Yes, it is true. These players are not paid well, and we have to do something about it. Now, if a player has to beg for what is due him or her in this country, then we are in trouble. What is more damning is that the Labor and Employment Relations Minister is a club owner in this country. He is paying well. But let's ask ourselves, is it a general situation? By a few, even those few that give a lot of money to players as a remuneration, the emoluments would stay away from you for like 3 months, 4 months, you are not paid. We don't only owe these players salary, we also owe them winning bonuses. And it's not just club side. In a Swiss letter to his coach, he cited that the bonuses due him for Ghana qualifying for the Under 23 African Championship, that qualifier against Algeria, has also not been paid. So, Kevin, let's be honest with ourselves first and foremost. That's the first point. Let's stop the rhetoric. Everyday statement, everyday speeches, everyday statement, everyday speeches, and let's act. Because these footballers are the reason why we go to the stadium. Exactly. When you journalists, you want to raise this, you have people like Ojo Safo and George Amako asking you, have you finished talking about the predicament of journalists and their salaries in this country before coming to talk about footballers? So that they can have the avenue to continue teaching these boys. They don't tell them that they are employing them. They tell them they are giving them opportunities to showcase their talent so that they will do that and then they get good contracts and go and get better money outside the country. So when you are in Ghana, it's more or less like a sacrificial job.
Well, things getting more difficult for these players. But Atta, we know that the PFAG, I spoke to Yusuf Chips and he hopes that they would quickly make arrangements to have a meeting with the FA to resolve this. But we know Ashanti Gold has written to all Premier League clubs notifying them of the notice of hearing on their quest to injunct the Ghana Premier League from starting this weekend. How could this put the start of the new season into disorder?
This is not the first time we are having Ashanti Gold in this situation. Let's even be circumspect and report that it was because of this same Ashanti Gold that the General Secretary and Tofik Seni were found contempt of Ghana's court. Now, what they are seeking to do is to stop the start of the Ghana Premier League. They've already applied for the interlocutory injunction, and then the hearing date has actually been set for them. And the clubs are aware. So they reinforced it by telling them, look, we have a hearing notice on the 3rd of October. So don't risk this. Because if you do, you could be in contempt of court. And I think it was yourself and a couple of others who mentioned to me that during Ghana's friendly game against Liberia, operatives from our courts were there, i.e. the bailiffs, were trying to serve the officials of the FA on this whole issue. So they secured the notice of hearing. The hearing is slated for the 3rd of October, and they sent an email across, but which I can confirm, having seen a couple of received notes from Premier League clubs, that indeed Ashanti Gold are saying that don't go ahead to start this Premier League season you are starting, because you could easily be in contempt of court, and that will not be good for you, because then the Ghana Football Association could be a second offender if it does happen that way, because this is not the first time they are violating rules of our court.
Well, Atta, before I leave you, should we expect any communication from the GFA on the matter soon? Because already had to folk are internally preparing for the game against RTU tomorrow.
I can tell you, they are preparing to leave this evening for Summer Boy. Every club is preparing. Everybody wants to have a good start. And already a lot of money has gone into preparations for the league. The communication can't come any sooner. But then again, the FA also has to be treading cautiously because, look, what if nothing of that sort happens and the third class not go? It means that all your sponsors and everybody who was of the view that the league was going to start would have feel disappointed. So they are in a very difficult situation to do or not to do. But the reality is that they should always think about the fact that if they are in contempt of our court again, Great Abuasi Ashanti Gold, they are not first offenders.
Collins Atapoku Jr., thank you so much for joining us this morning on 3FM 92.7.
Very much, Kevin.
Well, that was Collins Atapoku Jr., sports journalist who works with Kumasi-based Sumpa FM, giving us bits and pieces on the latest developments on the Ghana Premier League as well as the welfare of players in the country. Now let's move on. And Legon Cities, despite the difficulties they face in the last 2 days, are ready for the Ghana Premier League's commencement. Here is the communications director Kwame Jomajiman.
Well, what I can confidently tell you is that we are preparing very, very strongly for our first game of the season. Unfortunately, we've not been lucky with our first game of the season the last 4 years. I mean, our best has been a draw. I mean, I recall we drew against Liberty. We lost out to Mediama last season, and the other seasons also didn't really go well. So we're really putting in everything to ensure that we start the league very, very strongly. We can't always have a situation where we have to, literally be playing catch-up from match day one. But we believe that a result on match day one against Kerala would give us the needed motivation that will take us through all the way to match day 34. When you don't start a league season that well, it comes with its own pressure, especially with the way the Ghana Premier League is played, where every team tries to at least win a fair number of its home matches, because it's very difficult to win a game on the road. And we are lucky to be playing our first match at home against Kerala. So we're training very hard to ensure that we get a result against Kerala.
Well, that is from Kwame Jomajiman. And Albechim United finished third last season and are looking forward to having a better campaign this time around. The losses of key members will not affect the team. Here is Emmanuel Jesse.
The exact things that we need to put in place to help the technical team as well as the training body. And so far, so good. We had a very fruitful preseason, and I would say that the team is more than 100% ready for the impending season. So far as the transfer window is concerned, yes, indeed, we lost the likes of Agbisima Konkoni and then even our head coach. But looking at the replacements that we have for these three figures in the shape of Samuel Seko for Agbisima, August Nukra for Konkoni, and then Bismarck Mensah for Coach Mengo, I think that these people have been faring very well. When you look at how they've been able to put things in place regarding training sections and everything, is spot on. Okra is responding to the various training sections that have been put out by Coach Bismarck Mensah. Same thing applying to Samuel Seko. And in fact, if you look at how Bismarck Mensah has been able to put the team together, the third party and understanding amongst the players is something that is good to be talked about. And
so that is from Bechem United by Emmanuel Jesse. Hopefully they get better. Now moving on to the Three Lionesses boss, Sarina Weigman, and she has spoken on her future as the head coach of England women's national team. Many have questioned whether she's going to stay after losing the World Cup final after finishing with second with the Three Lionesses. Well, this is the statement from her after she spoke during her squad announcement for the upcoming UEFA Women's Nations League.
I have a contract until 25. We know we are happy. I'm happy here, and I think the FA and the players are happy that I'm here, and we're working really good together, and hope we keep doing that. And yes, we have conversations, but we always do, because we did after the Euros, and we do now too, but it has been such a short turnaround.
Well, she's staying, Sarina Weigman. Now, Weigman says she's spoken to a few players after the powerful speech and shares a hope of seeing people with platform continuing to make the world a little bit better. Well, she was addressing the issue of the former FA president of Spain, Luis Rubiales, who has been accused of abusing the female Spanish footballers.
I think lots of people have spoken up. I think male and female, and I hope we keep doing that. But for us, of course, it always starts with performing. We are here, we're professional football, I'm a professional coach and we have professional footballers, so what we're working on is really performing at the highest level. So we have the visibility, and then you have the platform, and especially in the women's game, we feel the urgency that we can use that platform to hopefully make the world a little bit better.
Making the world a little bit better now, Italy midfielder Marco Verratti has completed a move to Qatari side Al Arabi from PSG for a reported €45 million fee. He is the second high-profile European-based player to secure a deal to Qatar in a week. Aston Villa's Philippe Coutinho joined Al Duhail on a season-long loan last Friday. Verratti won 9 League A titles with PSG after joining in 2012, while he also helped Italy win the Euro 2020. Still staying with football, but goal star Rory McIlroy had a very good time with Gareth Bale, and he's spoken on the criticism towards Harry Maguire. He believes as part of the job, as they are always in the spotlight.
Absolutely. I'm sure Harry wakes up every morning, goes to work and tries his best, just like we all do, right? And when your life and your career are laid bare like that, and everyone sees you could make 20 great passes in a game, and the one pass that didn't go quite right is the one that everyone's going to concentrate on. And that's just it's a tough world that we live in, but it's unfortunately it's part of our job and being in that public spotlight, and we get well rewarded for being in that public spotlight, but that's the way it is. I do things that shield me from that, and it certainly protects my mental health. And
so that is from Rory McIlroy. He's protecting his mental health first. Now, NBA teams will be able to rest only one star player per game this season under the new rules, with potential fines of millions of dollars. The player participation policy defines a star player as anybody picked in an all-star NBA team or NBA all-star team in the previous 3 seasons. If you are a healthy player in this league, you're expected to play, according to Commissioner Adam Silver. Now, NBA teams will play 82 regular season games from October 24 to April 19, 2024, and the teams have been told to manage their roster to ensure that no more than one star player is unavailable for the star game. Teams will be fined $100,000 for the first violation and $250,000 for the second. Each further violation will be met by a fine of $1 million, more than the previous one. Now, Mark Bobbs has questioned how the NBA is going to manipulate the language of criteria for a star player.
It will be interesting if San Antonio does rest him, if the league all of a sudden says, you know what, he's not a star player, but we consider him a star. You know what, Mikal Bridges, you're not a star player, but you played for Team USA and you were the best player. That is not considered a star, but in our perspective, we consider you a star. Now, that's the gray area, and we'll see if the league manipulates the language as far as the criteria for a star player.
The criteria for a star player. That will be all for sports this morning on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Kelvin Oswanza, but let's give thanks to our sponsors. Mega 6 Lotto 6 numbers can change your life. And what would you do if you won 1 million Ghana cedis today? With only 49 numbers to choose from, Mega 6 Lotto is offering you the chance to win exciting prizes. Don't forget to play before 5 p.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Dial *266# or download the iOS and Android apps on Mega6Lotto.com to play. Mega 6 Lotto is approved and regulated by the NLA. Yes, to my stylish Enoch Lawson Stylish, happy birthday to you, brother. Continue keeping the good works done. Yes, I'll see you later this week, and then we can have some fun. Sunrise continues with the rest of the team, but DJ Abiam, as usual, is here to serve you with some fine tunes before. Have a hugely terrific Thursday.